Evening. Nice to see everybody. Welcome to the 2026 Merrimack Farm Virginia Master Naturalist series of events and lectures. We're glad you're here. We're going to get started in just a moment. Thank you. So before we start, can everyone hear me without the microphone? Okay, kind of. All right. So there's a few things before we get started. First of all, I want to let you know we'll be hosting about 4 lectures here every other month until September. And we have a series of events that will be all over Prince William County. Everyone is welcome. This is our first lecture. Thank you for your patience. I would like to thank Cokesbury United Methodist Church for the generous use of their space. And I want to thank you. We want to be good stewards of the space. So I will ask your help in helping just to organize and straighten up before we leave. We are trying to be zero waste and recycle and reuse. So we have everything labeled over there to do that. Appreciate your helpfulness with that. Parking is in the lower lot. We do have an overflow lot to the right when you first come in. We have sign-in sheets. I hope everybody signed in. If you didn't sign in, please sign in. Thank you. The restrooms are down on the left. And we're going to let Joe do his presentation, and then we'll take questions afterwards. And Marie is going to get up for a few minutes and speak. Where's Marie? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Susan just asked me to say a few words about what is, the Master Naturalist chapter. I think most of you here are connected with the chapter in some way or familiar with it. But if not, the Virginia Master Naturalist program is a statewide program of trained volunteers that go out and work to support beneficial management of our state's natural resources. Everyone goes through a 40-hour training. And then you can become, you're a full member and you can volunteer in all of these great projects. We are currently recruiting for the upcoming class. We have 2 spots left. So if you're interested, please contact us sooner than later to get a spot in the next class. And yeah, I guess that's about it. This is being offered as a continuing education opportunity for our members, and obviously for members of the public, just as an educational opportunity to learn about natural resources. I feel like I had one more thing I was going to say here. For those of you who are members, I encourage you, just a couple of quick little updates. I encourage you to come on Saturday, January 31st, to our chapter meeting at Bull Run Library. We will have 15 of our partner agencies there, similar to the January meeting from last year, where all of them will come and talk about the work that they're doing in 2026 and how they could use help from naturalists on their different projects. So it'll be a really fun meeting. We'll have a craft, we'll have a mug exchange. Check out the website and you can see all the details. And of course, friends and family are welcome. So that's it for me. I think I hit all the points. I'll turn it over to Joe. Or you've got a little more. Okay.
Thank you, Marie. I wanted to introduce my team. If you guys would stand up, please. If you have any questions, concerns, you can speak to me. You can also speak to the team. We've got Judy, Deanna, and Janine, and Elena is out front for a while. So welcome. Without further ado, this is Joe Barnes, and Joe is the Marine Debris Prevention Specialist at Clean Virginia Waterways. He runs several programs and coordinates 3 work groups dedicated towards advancing actions on plastic bag fees, the expanded polystyrene ban, and also scholarship, collaborative opportunities for anyone with plastic pollution or marine debris in Virginia. Joe Barnes, thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks for coming out and being here. I am going to move this over here so I can use my speaker notes. As mentioned, my name is Joseph Barnes. I am the Marine Debris Prevention Specialist at Clean Virginia Waterways. I've been there since mid-June, so that's 7 months, I believe. So full disclosure, this is my first time giving this presentation. So we're gonna have a great time tonight learning about marine debris and plastics. It will, it's gonna be great. But I do have my speaker notes. And on the same note, there's a lot of programs I'm talking about that Clean Virginia Waterways has done before my time. They've been around way longer than 7 months. So I'm very excited to be here and talk about the organization, the things that we do across the state, and how you can get involved. So Clean Virginia Waterways is a nonprofit headquartered in Virginia Beach, but we do things all over the state. The mission is to enhance the health of Virginia's water resources through pollution prevention, education, and stewardship activities involving Virginians from the classroom to the boardroom. So that means that we work on a range of plastic pollution and marine debris initiatives involving youth education and kids all the way up to industries and government. And I've already said marine debris a lot. It is pollution, it's debris. But marine, like the word marine really means sea or salt water. But for this purposes, and for the purpose of talking about plastic pollution, marine debris is really a catch-all term. Some people call it aquatic debris, aquatic pollution, plastic pollution. But marine debris is a catch-all for rivers, streams, lakes, oceans, bays, and sometimes even land-based pollution. The reason for that is because any pollution on land is going to end up in the waters at some point through wave action, mismanaged litter, or rain action. It will end up in the waters. So marine debris is any solid material, generally human-made, that ends up in the waters. I'll be talking about the plastic pollution problem and the crisis that we face globally and locally. And they'll talk about this really cool document called the Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan. It really is cool, I promise. I'll talk about some solutions that we can work on towards plastic pollution. And then I will introduce some topics, some programs that Clean Virginia Waterways runs, ending with how you can get involved as well. We are a nonprofit. We love collaborations and volunteers. So, to begin, the plastic pollution problem. I'm sure we've all seen these gruesome pictures. There's a lot of plastic there. You can see it all involves water. We're talking about marine debris. And so these types of scenarios really affect people's livelihoods in addition to the ecosystems. Something you'll notice is missing from that bottom left picture is wildlife, exactly fish. And so it's hard to work to have a livelihood in these areas when plastic is just so inundated in the environment. It also does affect wildlife. You may have remember from like 10 years ago maybe, the video of the sea turtle with a straw stuck up its nose by Dr. Christine Figgeler? I'm so sorry, I forgot her name. Anyway, there was a straw stuck up the turtle's nose. Very sad. There are also numerous instances of sea mammals washing ashore because their stomachs are filled with plastic bags. One of the most dangerous items is discarded fishing gear like nets that entangle animals like that seal down there. Or we may have grown up with the notion of you got to cut those six-pack rings because they're plastic and things can get caught. And then animals also do eat the plastic, especially brightly colored things like bottle caps because it looks like food. And then they don't know what plastic is, so animals eat it. It has no nutritional value, no digestible components, and so they feel full without actually eating anything. So now that I have thoroughly depressed you, I will move on to the local issues. And this is a picture on the left that I took up in Northern Virginia. Looks kind of natural, right? There's a lot of leaf litter, there's a little twig thingy, but if you look closer, there's a lot of plastic in this picture. The most obvious being this green film from something. There's this plastic thing that's decaying. There's some like netting worked in here, a plastic film there. So it's hidden, like it's hard to see, but it's there, and it's all in that one small area. And the picture on the right is, right as you look at it, I keep to turn it around to be like, you're right. In Virginia Beach, that's a little more obvious, lots of brightly colored plastics closer to a beach where water washes ashore. And so, from 2024, which is the latest year that we had complete data for, 2025's data is being worked on right now, these are the top 10 litter items found from coastal cleanups. What do we notice about them? What do they all have in common? Packaging, plastic, yeah. What type of packaging specifically? Food? Yes. That is the most noticeable thing about these. It is mostly all plastic, and a lot has to do with food, which makes sense because a lot of our food comes in plastic, and there's not much we can do about that unless you can afford to go to a farmer's market every week and get all your produce there. But even then, you'll find some plastic. So it makes sense, and it's hard to avoid. And because there's so much of it, it can be thrown away purposefully, which is less than ideal, or just mismanaged. And again, wind and rain will wash these types of trash and pollutants into our waters. Sorry. What's interesting about 2024's data, though, is that cigarette butts notoriously and historically are the top pollutant. Something happened in 2024 where it became number 2, and we're not sure if it is, well, we're being cautiously optimistic that it's because they are decreasing in number. Maybe there are enough receptacles around that people are not littering, they're actually disposing of them properly. It may also be because the classification for cigarettes in this instance has been divided into like e-cigs, cigarillos, vapes versus cigarette butts. Or maybe there's an increase in food wrappers. Anyway, lots of data can be played around with marine debris. It's very fun. But this is the top 10 litter item list in Virginia. We also noticed that a lot of it comes from land-based sources. And so up to 80% of marine debris comes from land. This list of 5 plastic items, marine debris items, are the 5 most harmful types of ocean trash. So we have fishing gear, plastic bags and utensils, again, single-use plastics, balloons, cigarette butts, and bottle caps. All of these issues are also prevalent in Virginia. And then kind of grand scope for plastics, it's been found in most of our seafood, lots of other food sources, salt and beer, and in recent studies, us. Yay. So that comes in the form of microplastics that get uptaken in our bloodstream, cells, brain, lungs, all those fun studies. And that is a very rapidly growing area of science right now, is microplastics inside the human body. We know that it can contribute to things like inflammation, endocrine disruption, but because it's such a short window, like microplastics, the word was only coined in 2004. So there's not a lot of time for long-term human health effects, especially when you can't find a control sample where someone doesn't have microplastics. Yeah. So now we can go on to the solutions, the things that can be done. So Virginia has this thing called the Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan. It is a statewide action plan to tackle marine debris. Virginia was the first state on the eastern side of the US to have a marine debris reduction plan, and we are developing our 4th iteration of it currently. So the Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan, VMDRP, however, I might swap because it's a mouthful, The planning of it started back in 2011 when the Virginia Coastal Zone Management Program identified plastic or marine debris as a topic of concern. This is something they really wanted to focus on. So by 2013, we were writing the first draft of the first Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan, and it's a 5-year plan. So the first one was 2014 to 2019, and then 2020 to 2025. Yes, so we're on the third. We're writing the third one right now. And this plan is developed to be a roadmap of action items that many sectors and stakeholders can participate in. So we're talking academic researchers, nonprofits, civic groups, local and municipal governments, industry and businesses, and whoever wants to be involved. And, well, I've gone over why it's necessary. There's a lot of plastic. This graph especially demonstrates that. This shows at the very bottom, bottom left, 1950, the production of plastic over time, and you can see it's just exponential. And so no matter what we do about it over the years, like, the 1960s and 70s was the environmental movement, we've done lots of cleanups over the years, and the plastic doesn't stop coming. So cleanups are amazing for data collection and preventing that thing from being eaten by an animal, but that's what we're facing. So this kind of plan really helps get at the core of where the plastic's coming from. So there are 4 goals, 4 chapters of the Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan. They focus on consumer debris, which is the single-use plastics, abandoned and derelict vessels, derelict fishing gear, and microplastics. So those are the 4 chapters, 4 goals, 4 types of debris that are covered in the plan. And each of those 4 chapters has the same 5 strategies. Focuses on prevention, behavior change, education, and outreach, research and monitoring, proper disposal, interception and infrastructure, removal, and policy, management, legislation, and enforcement. This already gets into what's called community-based social marketing. So that's just education and getting people to reach a behavioral change. This one ends up with policy and legislation to really get that change rolling. And speaking of community-based social marketing, I'll talk about the solutions. First one being collaboration. This is really just making sure there are spaces to talk about marine debris and getting the word out about that. At Clean Virginia Waterways, we have the Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network, which was an identified action in the 2021 to 25 Marine Debris Action Plan. So last August, we reached our 5-year anniversary of the VP3N, as it's been abbreviated, because Virginia Plastic Pollution Prevention Network is also a mouthful. But anyway, we meet monthly, and this is a virtual space, it's a virtual meeting, where all these different stakeholders in marine debris and members of the public can attend to learn about what's going on. It's the first quarter of the hour-long meeting is to talk about any events that you have going on, any questions you have, any articles, anything you want to talk about. And then we have a speaker series where you learn about something else going on in the state or the region that you may not be familiar with, or that something new is happening and exciting, and it's a way to promote cross-discipline interactions. Abandoned and derelict vessels were also a topic of focus on in the plan. So we had a abandoned derelict vessel work group back in 2022 that identified policy solutions, and now we get to work on those policy solutions. So there's been 2 instances of that. The Lynnhaven River Now down in Virginia Beach, it's a nonprofit. It has a federal grant to remove abandoned and derelict vessels across Hampton roads. That is a monumental task because it's about an average of $14,000 to remove one vessel, and there are hundreds of them in Virginia. I don't want to give an exact number because I don't want to get it wrong, but at least 300 abandoned vessels in Virginia. Virginia also has a very complicated process to remove them because they are private property. But sometimes there are backdoor dealings where someone sells it on eBay or Craigslist, for example, or someone dies or someone moves. and then the vessel just sits there. So it's hard to track down an owner to really get ownership of it. And then if you want to take ownership of the vessel, you have to put the ad in the newspaper and wait 2 weeks to reach the owner. It's a whole thing. So removing vessels, very hard. Work is being done. I was actually previously employed at Old Dominion University for their Virginia Sea Grant supported project, which is a coalition building project, just trying to establish a network of all these collaborators in Hampton Roads around marine debris. And it's there, it worked, so we got people talking down there. At Clean Virginia Waterways, I also run an expanded polystyrene phase-out work group. Lots of mouthfuls here, but expanded polystyrene is foam. As of July 1st this year, all foam will be banned at restaurants and food institutions, so things like clamshells, food cups, foam cups, banned. But those are really cheap products. So we're working on providing resources and education to these industries, these businesses, so that it's a seamless and affordable transition instead of just an outright like, oh, no more, you gotta find something else. But we also don't want people to just go to the next hard plastic item. And so we're looking for compostable products that they can use. However, hard plastic doesn't break down, so even if that gets littered, marginally better than foam, because foam just breaks down into small pieces that you can't pick up. Anyway, the point of that slide was that the success of the Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan is dependent on all this collaboration and sustained activity. So moving on to legislation. We've got some really cool wins in Virginia. As of 2021, intentional balloon releases were banned. I'm just checking the time. I'm doing good. Okay. Polystyrene or foam containers are banned. Localities are also allowed to adopt a 5-cent fee on plastic bags.
I have a question about the intentional balloon releases. When people buy a lot of balloons, are they being told that it's illegal for them to let them go?
No. That's where nonprofits come in. We got to do the education there. But in some cases, the legislation is more to get the ball rolling on that kind of thing. So it's good that it's there, and it's a disincentive to release balloons. Virginia is also, as you may know, a Dillon rule state, so localities have to be granted permission by the General Assembly in order to pass laws in their municipality, and that's where the 5-cent fee on plastic bags comes from. I think there are 11 cities and counties right now that have passed a 5-cent fee, which is cool. And again, that's a disincentive. Like, you don't have to pay the tax. You don't have to pay the fee if you reuse your bags or don't use a bag or bring your own bags. It's also fun with this wording because written into law, it's called a tax, which is not good when you are trying to get your legislators to pass it because no legislator wants to pass a tax. So we call it a fee because it is. Taxes are mandatory. The fee is not. It is very avoidable. So good talking point there. And then Virginia has a litter tax. It's very low. It is $20 per business that produces things that could pollute in Virginia. It's very low.
Per year?
Per year.
Oh, gosh.
It's very low. But we have one, and it did just go up recently. So, small wins. All right. And then I started talking about behavior change and social marketing. These are some good examples that we've come up with at Clean Virginia Waterways. Going back to that list of the top 5 harmful marine debris items, number 3 was balloons. That is one object, compared to fishing gear and plastic bags and utensils. Balloons are one object with a very specific purpose. So we thought that would be a very achievable thing to get an action on. And it was. We got a balloon ban out of it, but we also did a lot of these messages. Some of them are more positive, like, hey, use bubbles instead. That's uplifting. Yay, you feel good. Some of them are more eye-popping, like the horse eating a balloon, which happens. But this all culminated in preventballoonlitter.org, which is a regional mid-Atlantic collaboration. And it has a ton of ideas on how to avoid using balloons. But continuing on the balloon trend, we did 11 years of monitoring in Virginia's coast on balloon litter. And we just recently published a report on that 11 years. You can find it on our website. And it talks about all the types of balloon litter and the policies and where they come from. What's cool about that is that after 2021, we did see a very noticeable decrease in balloon litter. Another key part of that social marketing is education and outreach. So again, we do that through things like the signage. Part of a community-based social marketing campaign is like a pledge that people take. So signs like that remind you, oh, I'm not supposed to throw my cigarette butt on the ground, or I'm not supposed to release a balloon, things like that. So we do movie screenings, we make signs, we go to tabling events, always just to talk about plastic pollution. Another critical part to tackling marine debris is the monitoring and research. And there's a lot on the slide, so let me go through this real quick. We do regular cleanups. Clean Virginia Waterways we run the Virginia Coastal Cleanup every year, which is part of the Ocean Conservancy's International Coastal Cleanup. So we manage the data collection in Virginia. We use that kind of data card. It has little check marks for each type of debris. You just tally it as you go along. Or you can use the Clean Swell app where you can do it on your phone, which is very nice. And then all that data goes to this thing called the TIDES database, TIDES. You can create a free account and log in, and you can see all the debris collected in the last month, 6 months, year, total, by country. You can zoom into the states and look at each individual state's reports. You can zoom in to specific cities and see all the cleanups that were done there. It is a really cool resource. So we encourage you when you do cleanups to collect the data. Because the data that we get from cleanups is used for all of that targeted outreach. So we know if people are using more straws or balloons, and then we can use that to go towards legislation to tackle those big debris items. So we've done a lot of monitoring across Virginia. The balloon study looked at 4 remote areas in Virginia. These places are not open to the public. You have to get special permitting to set foot on them, which includes doing trash cleanups and monitoring. And so what we found on those spaces and across Virginia's coastal zone is that 83% of all the trash we found was plastic. That does line up with the international coastal cleanup data. Proportionally, it matches what's going on with the rest of the world. So 83%, or around 80% of all the trash found is plastic. And this is a cool graph because this shows that coastal zone with those remote beaches. Balloons move up to number 2. If you remember the top 10 list of litter items in Virginia, balloons were not on there. But looking at it just in the coastal zone, balloons are there. And it's just a good reminder that where the trash that you find in a certain area may not have originated there, or the type of debris you're dealing with regionally really depends on what goes on in that region. For example, balloons are very light and they get carried with waves, so it makes sense they're going to wash up in these remote places. Whereas if you go to Richmond or Arlington, cities, you might find more bottle caps, cigarette butts, things like that. So you have to pay attention to the region to know what you're dealing with. And then we've got some really cool programs. One is called Keep It Beachy Clean. It is called that. Keep It Beachy Clean is a litter prevention program targeting the hospitality and tourism industry. So we place placards like this, placards, magnets, coasters, on restaurant tables, in like Airbnb refrigerators with magnets, coasters at bars, and these are all reminders to not use a straw or a clamshell container. And it's fun messaging. It's got little pithy sayings like there's a sea turtle out there who's better off now, or one of them says like you saved this crab from making bad decisions, something like that. And it's been really fun to see the engagement that we get from restaurants who are really interested in this kind of work. For Earth Month, we do a straw-free challenge. We have again, plaques that say, like, please don't, or you will not get a straw, you have to ask for one. So that's a way to incentivize people to not get one, be like, oh, maybe, yeah, it's automatic to get a straw, but maybe I don't need one. And yeah, people are excited about it. My favorite activity through Keep Beachy Clean are these kids' activity sheets. These are just little activities like mazes, word searches that teach kids all about marine debris. And it's very cute. And then you can color in some fun animals. Our newest activity are these beach toy boxes. Because sometimes tourists maybe go to like a beach shop to buy some toys, beach toys for their kids, and then forget them, or they don't want them, or they just leave them in the, I don't know, nearby. But it could get washed away into the ocean. So we put these beach toy boxes, which is like a take and leave. So anyone can just put their toy boxes at the end of the day, or toys in the box at the end of the day. And then another family can come and grab it. And it's gotten a lot of attention from like Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops building them and painting them. Classrooms get to paint them, put their logo on it. It's very fun. And then we have some public perception reports that just say that there is overwhelming support for these types of programs in terms of bans, fees, all that good stuff. Another report that we have, or another big thing that we do at Clean Virginia Waterways is research on these numbers, on following the money. So we've got a report on the bottle bill, a container deposit where you bring a soda can back for like 5 cents. Wide support by the public. Not so much the corporations, but that's beside the point. And then these are the campaigns we're doing for that foam phase out. The first design over there on the left, that is for people. Unfortunately, I don't have one today, but these are stickers, again, to put on your water bottle or your laptop, and it reminds you not to use foam. On the right, those are stickers for businesses. We have it as a digital template and as a window decal to put on menus or social media, websites. So this is designed to incentivize customers with similar values, where it's like, oh, this restaurant went out of their way to not use foam. I want to support that. And then in the middle, that design is meant to go on the clamshell containers, because you can bring your own Tupperware to a restaurant. It's not illegal. And you can just scrape your food off into that. So that saves restaurants money and prevents waste, because you're not using a takeout container. And then again, I just wanted to touch base on the VP3N. This is again a space for marine debris stakeholders, which is anyone, because we all deal with plastic pollution, to learn about the issue and talk about it. And then we've got some subgroups, which are the plastic bag fee advocacy group and the foam phase out. So the best slide of all, ways that you can help. I've divided into 3 categories. There's community organizing, so please organize some cleanups. Collect that data, because that is really valuable stuff. And then the sticker campaigns, of course. We have stickers for the websites that we have, the different balloon campaigns, the foam bans. We've got a lot of stickers, because they work. If you have a good relationship with a business, or if you own one, we've got lots of stuff for you to do. One is helping us get the word out about the digital toolkit we have for the foam ban. We also take sponsorships for those kids' activity sheets. So if you want your business's logo on there, we will do that for money. And then your word gets out there, your name gets out there, and kids learn about marine debris in a good way. It's not, the worksheets are not depressing. Clean Virginia Waterways also just became the first outside of New Jersey chapter of this group called Balloon Mission, which is all about recycling balloons. They take a pretty cool approach where it's like, we're not going to shame people for using balloons. They're very cheerful, happy objects. But if we can get them to dispose of balloons properly, wonderful. So we have a bunch of balloon recycling boxes that we are trying to put out across the state. Also looking for sponsorships for that, because we had to pay money for them. So, you know. And that's going to be a really good program. And then if you yourself want to attend on behalf of your organization or your job, or just yourself, we welcome you to attend the VP3N monthly meeting, as on Tuesday afternoons, the 3rd Tuesday of the month. And the best part is if you or the Master Naturalists or your organization or your job wants to take on an action of the next Virginia Marine Debris Reduction Plan, you can. And that'd be really cool. Each action that plan requires a lead, which is an organization that helps facilitate that action across the state, and partners who do the action. Those roles look like the partner facilitates it, the partners do it, and then the lead collects data and gives it back to us, and then we make sure that stuff is on track and then provide help where needed. If you're interested, my card is in the back. My email is on this slide, so feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for being here. It's great to kick off this speaker series talking about plastic. Find Clean Virginia Waterways on all socials. You can find our website there. It does lead to the donation page. But the table back there is a ton of handouts on all of our campaigns, and go see what's up. So, thank you.
Okay, so when I saw Christina, right?
Yeah.
Down at the VMA conference, she told us a little bit more about the balloons and the kinds of balloons that she was finding on the beach. And can you address that?
It's like Mylar.
No, there's one that was a little bit more shocking.
That was before my time, but let me see what I can do. So yeah, Mylar balloons are a big one. Weather balloons are also a thing.
Oh, you find them?
We do find weather balloons.
I want to find one for my classroom. I can say if I ever find one, it's going to my
Christina could
classroom.
probably get you one.
Yeah, maybe.
I tell my students every year, if you ever find one, bring it to me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that you don't have to go retrieve that. But I mean, it's good to have data. You know, we need to know the weather. There are trade-offs.
Well, I thought they were like collected, and the equipment and the
Most of them
balloons
are lost.
are not.
I teach this, they have like a thing that tells you where to return it if you find it.
And they're
Oh,
really
cool.
big.
But I'm sure a lot of them get lost in
On the remote
water.
beaches, yeah.
Yeah, like land in the water and never seen again. Or
Yeah.
maybe hung in trees and like forests and stuff where you can't see them or reach them.
Yeah, and then another thing with balloons, going back to like how each region has their own problems with plastic. Some balloons just get eaten by, or like could get eaten by animals, and that may be the problem there. But some of them will actually get tangled up in electric and power lines and then cause power outages. So that's like a whole new set of issues. Yeah.
A question on the polystyrene ban. When does that take effect Virginia-wide for restaurant establishments?
It was actually entered in 2 phases. So, funny thing, this bill was passed in 2021, and then because of budget amendments, it's now going into effect in 2 phases. The first one happened July 1st, 2025, and that was for restaurants with more than 20 locations. So, really, we're talking about the chains. This coming July, it goes into effect for the rest of them, basically. Any restaurant or food servicing business that has less than 20 locations. There are also year-long exceptions you can file for, and that's kind of dealt with at the municipal level.
The Virginia Master Naturalists, our chapter's Adopt-A-Stream is right behind Chick-fil-A and a Panda Express. And we have the most microplastics from the foam breaking down from those 2 places. That's something that I'm hoping now that the ban has happened, that we're going to start seeing less in that area. And it's a
Yeah.
pain to pull all those little bits out.
Yeah, definitely. And we see that kind of effect with any sort of policy like that. The balloon ban, we see less balloons. Plastic bag fees, we see less plastic bags as trash. And there's always that, in my experience, there's always that correlation where good policy happens to disincentivize that plastic object, and then you see less of it as trash. Yeah.
Sorry, one more question. So what is the, or is there coordination with land management or such as parks, law enforcement to try to curb some of that waste?
We have some partnerships with parks. We actually, one of our VP3 speakers in August was from the National Park Service on the Middle Peninsula, which is really cool. So they all have to abide by the legislation at the state level. And then on the side, we just have coordination, collaboration to see where we can help fill in any gaps. Was there something specific for collaboration you're looking for, or?
I guess just the enforcement of, that waste.
Oh, I see. I'm not the person to answer that. I do not know how it's managed, either jurisdictionally or at the state level. Yeah.
I know that there's inspectors that go out to inspect restaurants for safety and health and stuff. Is there any coordination with these laws that you're talking about, like as of this year when the styrofoam ban goes into effect for everybody? Will like the food inspectors look for that and at least educate the people that, hey, this new law was passed, we can no longer use styrofoam? Or will there be, I'm sure that probably all the chains have complied, but if you have a huge chain that just is thumbing their nose, is there any enforcement effort or, fines that are associated with just not dealing with it?
Yeah, that's also something that I'm working on figuring out, and that Clean Virginia Waterways is trying to figure out. It looks like enforcement is done with the Department of Health. Whether that's Department of Health municipally or at the state level, I'm not sure. But we're working on figuring that out. So hopefully we'll find out soon.
Drew, are you going to add anything to that? Because whenever I find stuff, I call him.
Department of
Tell
Health.
him who you are.
Drew Hugo, Prince William County Stormwater Coordinator. Yes, it's probably going to be mostly Department of Health, but if you guys do see something and you want some nudging, you guys can always contact myself and we can see what we can do, but it probably will be under Department of Health on that.
Drew in his office and other offices in Prince William County are part of our adopted stream. We're the
Nice.
full run watershed protectors.
Nice. Well, if you have any input on enforcement, feel free to attend our work group. Thank you. Any other questions? Please take a look at the resources on the table in the back. There's lots of cool handouts, lots of things you can grab, QR codes to go to all these different web pages and work groups I was talking about. And I'll be here for any questions. Thank you.
Lisa and Lisa would like a Turtles sticker in your office.
Yeah. I'll be back for the annual meeting on the 31st, and I should have more stickers by then.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for being here. This ends the lecture portion. We are unable to show some of the chapter materials unless, are you doing that now? Okay, we have some closing. Yeah. So our next lecture actually is going to be Thursday, March 19th, Drew Uglow, 7 p.m. We also have a survey we would love it if you could take. So the NABSCO band along will be the next topic. Should be really exciting and entertaining. Drew is always entertaining. Okay, and yeah.
It's trying to connect. It doesn't want to let me do presentation.
So we have the site is at the bottom. We'd love your feedback. This is a new thing that we're doing. We'd love to know what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, what we can do better, what we can do differently. So that's all on there. There are refreshments. One second, Lisa. There are refreshments at the back. Please help yourselves. And thank you for being here. Any questions?
Can we have a quick round of applause for Bill for the service?
Yeah. We actually included on one of these his contact information. So he's like an excellent sound technician, sound guru. We'll have that next time. I'm not really sure why that was like that. Appreciate you being here. Please help clean up. Please visit and socialize. We have time to socialize and hang out. Yes, Lisa. Grab the microphone. So Lisa, if you didn't hear her, she's here for membership. If you're interested in Master Naturalists, see Lisa. Thank you.